I was sitting with my closest friends at a cozy cafe downtown, sipping on my caramel latte and enjoying a rare evening out. The atmosphere was light, filled with laughter and shared stories. But everything changed when Emily, one of my best friends, casually mentioned that she'd discovered her husband, Jason, on a dating app. She laughed as she told us how she'd stumbled upon his profile while scrolling through her phone one night. It was a joke to her, something she didn't seem to take too seriously. But the way she said it, the slight discomfort in her tone, made me pause. The room felt suddenly smaller, as though I was on the edge of something I didn't fully understand. I couldn't shake the thought from my mind as the conversation shifted. I started to think about my own relationship with Ryan, my husband of 6 years. We had our ups and downs, but I never expected something like what Emily had described to happen to me. After all, Ryan had always seemed devoted, the kind of man who would never do something like that to me. That night, after the evening ended and I returned home, my thoughts were still lingering in the back of my mind. It was strange how something so minor in conversation could unsettle me so deeply. I brushed it off, telling myself I was just overthinking. But as I climbed into bed next to Ryan, I felt this gnawing suspicion grow. Could something like that really happen in our marriage? I tried to ignore it, curling up beside him and trying to fall asleep. But I couldn't stop my mind from racing. What if he was hiding something? What if everything I believed about our marriage was a lie? For hours, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts running wild. There was a little voice in my head telling me to do something, anything, to ease my mind. The decision came to me quietly in the dark. I had never thought I would find myself doing something like this, but I reached over and grabbed my phone. I hesitated for a moment, knowing what I was about to do could change everything. But my curiosity got the better of me, and I downloaded the dating app Emily had mentioned. I told myself I was just going to look. Maybe it was silly, but I needed to know if my fears were grounded or if I was just being paranoid. The app loaded slowly, its interface bright and intimidating. I stared at it for a few moments, wondering how I even began. Then I searched Ryan's name. The app took a second to load, and when it did, my heart nearly stopped. There he was. Ryan's profile. It was him. The photos were unmistakable, his signature grin staring back at me from the screen. The description was everything he had ever told me about himself, his love for hiking, his obsession with sports, and his fondness for fine whiskey. There was no mistaking it. Ryan had a profile on a dating app. My hands shook as I scrolled through his messages, and a sense of dread washed over me. I didn't know what to think, let alone what to do. I had so many questions, but no answers. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, yet there was no denying it. Ryan, the man I had spent so many years with, had been hiding this from me. I felt a wave of panic rise within me, and the room around me seemed to shrink. I tried to calm myself down, telling myself I had to confront him, whatever was going on, I had to get the truth. But even as I set my phone down, a part of me feared that this could be the beginning of the end for everything I had worked so hard to build with Ryan. The minutes after I discovered Ryan's profile felt like hours. The phone in my hands seemed to grow heavier with every passing second. I had been staring at it for what seemed like forever, my mind spinning, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. I couldn't even process it all. The photos, the messages, none of it made sense. But there it was, undeniable and right in front of me. I slowly put the phone down on the nightstand, my breath shaky. The weight of what I had found settled into my chest like a stone. I was not the kind of person who typically resorted to snooping, but this felt different. It felt like I was given a glimpse of something I wasn't meant to see, a part of Ryan's life that had been hidden from me. I couldn't ignore it now. I needed answers, and I needed them fast. I glanced over at Ryan, who was fast asleep beside me. His soft, steady breathing felt like a cruel reminder of the life we had built together. I wondered how long this had been going on. Was it a one-time thing, or had it been happening for longer than I realized? The questions piled up in my mind, each one more painful than the last. But as I lay there in the dark, it was clear that I couldn't just lie there pretending everything was fine. I had to confront him. No more avoiding the truth. It was time to face the music. I sat up in bed, the cool night air sending a shiver down my spine. I pulled the covers off and slipped out of bed, my feet touching the cold hardwood floor. My heart was pounding in my chest, but I couldn't stop now. I needed to know. I needed to hear it from him. I walked into the kitchen, my mind racing. Should I wake him up right now, or should I wait until the morning? The thought of confronting him in the middle of the night felt like an impulsive move, but I couldn't shake the urgency I felt. If I waited until the morning, I'd only stew in my own doubt, making it worse than it already was. I grabbed a glass of water from the fridge, my hands trembling as I took a sip. I needed to calm down. But how could I calm down when everything was falling apart? I didn't know what to do, what to think, or how to even start this conversation. How do you confront someone you love, someone you've trusted with your whole heart, with something like this? I stood there in the kitchen, staring out the window into the darkness of the night. The silence was deafening, and my mind was filled with a million different thoughts. What if I was wrong? What if this was some kind of misunderstanding? I wanted so badly to believe that, but deep down, I knew what I had seen. I couldn't deny it. The sound of Ryan shifting in bed broke my reverie. I looked back toward the bedroom, my heart skipping a beat. Was he waking up? Was he already aware that something was wrong? I didn't know. But I knew I couldn't run from this anymore. It wasn't just about my marriage anymore, it was about the truth. I slowly made my way back to the bedroom, my pulse quickening with each step. The tension in my chest grew with every inch I moved closer to Ryan. He was still asleep, his face peaceful, completely unaware of the storm brewing inside of me. I stood at the edge of the bed, watching him for a moment, trying to find the words I needed. Then I did something I hadn't planned on doing. I picked up my phone, unlocked it, and stared at the dating profile once again. It felt like a betrayal, but I needed to see it one more time, to confirm that this was real, that this was really happening. And there it was again. The profile. His picture, his description, the messages to other women. It was all there, clear as day. No more doubts. No more questioning. This was happening, and I had to face it. I put the phone down with a deep breath, feeling a pit in my stomach. It was time. I walked over to Ryan, sitting down on the edge of the bed. I didn't know how to start the conversation, how to approach him without sounding like I was accusing him of something. But the truth was right in front of me, and I couldn't ignore it any longer. "Ryan," I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. But it cracked slightly as I said his name. He stirred slightly but didn't wake up. I swallowed hard and reached out, gently shaking his shoulder. "Ryan, wake up." His eyes fluttered open, groggy and confused. He blinked at me for a moment, clearly not expecting this late-night wake-up call. "What's going on?" he mumbled, rubbing his eyes. His voice was thick with sleep. I sat there for a few seconds, the weight of the moment pressing on me. I could feel my heart racing, the words caught in my throat. I couldn't believe this was happening. I couldn't believe I was about to confront him with something like this. But I knew I couldn't turn back now. "I need to ask you something," I said, my voice a little more firm than I expected. "And I need you to be honest with me." Ryan propped himself up on his elbows, looking at me with concern now. "What is it?" His voice was full of confusion. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I found something tonight. Something I don't understand." I paused, watching his expression carefully. "I found your profile on a dating app, Ryan." The words hung in the air between us, heavy and sharp. His face immediately shifted from concern to a look of shock, followed by guilt. He opened his mouth as though to speak, but no words came out. For the first time in our marriage, I didn't know if I could trust him. Ryan's face shifted immediately from surprise to defensiveness. He sat up in bed, running a hand through his hair, clearly trying to formulate a response. For a moment, he looked like a deer caught in headlights, frozen and uncertain. The silence in the room was suffocating, as though we were both waiting for the other to make the first move. I didn't want to give him the chance to lie. I had already seen what I needed to see. The evidence was right there, laid bare in front of me. I couldn't pretend it didn't hurt anymore. I couldn't ignore the betrayal. "Ryan," I said, my voice trembling, "why? Why were you on that app? Why were you talking to other women?" The words felt foreign as they left my lips, like I wasn't even speaking my own truth, but the weight of them hit me like a punch to the gut. Ryan opened his mouth, but no words came out at first. His eyes were frantic, as though he was scrambling for an explanation, for something that would make this all go away. But I knew it wouldn't. Nothing would make this go away. Not now. "I can explain," he finally said, his voice slow and tentative. He reached out for my hand, but I pulled it away before he could touch me. The rejection stung, but I couldn't let him soothe me, not this time. Not after everything I'd just discovered. "I don't think you can," I replied, my voice thick with emotion. "I don't think you can explain why you've been lying to me for who knows how long." I could see the panic in his eyes now. His hands were shaking as he rubbed them together, trying to keep his composure. His breath hitched as he tried to gather his thoughts. I never meant to hurt you. It's not like that, okay? It's complicated." "Complicated?" I repeated bitterly, my chest tightening. "There's nothing complicated about it, Ryan. You lied to me. You've been seeing other people behind my back. I don't know how you think you're going to fix this, but I don't even know if I can look at you the same way again." Ryan's face crumpled, and for a brief moment, I saw a flicker of regret. He let out a deep sigh, running both hands over his face, as though the weight of everything was suddenly crashing down on him. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice raw. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to get this far." I shook my head, my eyes filled with tears that I had been holding back for far too long. "But it did get this far, didn't it?" I choked out. "You've been hiding this from me for God knows how long, Ryan. I don't know who you are anymore." His face softened, and he reached out again, this time more cautiously, as if unsure of how I might respond. "I was feeling lost," he admitted quietly, his voice almost a whisper. "I thought I could fix things, you know. But it was all a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. I was stupid. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. Please." For a moment, I thought about his words. I could see the sincerity in his eyes, but at the same time, I could feel the walls inside me growing taller. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that the man I had loved and trusted was still in there somewhere. But my heart, torn and shattered, wasn't so sure anymore. "You don't get it, Ryan," I said, my voice faltering as I tried to hold back the tears. "It's not just about the app, or the lies. It's everything. It's the trust. The love. The commitment we've built. You broke all of that when you decided to hide this from me." He opened his mouth to respond, but I cut him off. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "I don't want to hear any more excuses. I need to think. I need time." Ryan looked at me desperately, as though he was afraid that if he didn't act quickly, he would lose me forever. His eyes searched mine, pleading for some kind of understanding. "Please, just listen," he begged. "Please. I swear I'll do anything to fix this. I love you." The words stung more than they comforted. I could hear the desperation in his voice, but I also heard the selfishness behind them. He wasn't thinking about what he had put me through. He wasn't thinking about how his actions had destroyed everything I thought we had. He was only thinking about saving himself. "I need to be alone," I said, turning away from him, my voice barely audible. The ache in my chest was unbearable, and I couldn't even look at him for another second. He didn't respond immediately. I could feel his gaze on me, heavy and full of regret. He opened his mouth to say something, but I didn't want to hear it. I couldn't. Not now. "I'll be downstairs," I muttered, my voice barely above a whisper as I walked out of the bedroom, leaving him alone in the quiet darkness. I found myself sitting on the couch in the living room, my hands clasped tightly together, trying to breathe through the waves of emotion crashing over me. I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't process any of it. It was all too much. I replayed everything over and over in my mind, the messages, the pictures, the promises he had broken. I wondered how long he had been keeping this from me, how many lies he had told, how many nights he had spent pretending everything was fine while he was building a life outside of ours. The tears came then, uncontrollable and raw. I let them fall, each one a painful reminder of everything I had lost. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I had been strong for so long, but in that moment, I broke. The night dragged on in an oppressive silence. I stayed on the couch, staring blankly at the TV, though I wasn't really seeing it. My mind was a storm of confusion and hurt, my thoughts jumping between moments of anger, sadness, and even the smallest flicker of hope. But the hope was fading fast. It was hard to ignore the gnawing feeling deep inside of me, the feeling that this might be the end. That what we had was beyond repair. Ryan stayed upstairs, and I could hear him pacing back and forth in the room above. Every now and then, I'd hear him stop, probably trying to gather his thoughts, only for the sound of his footsteps to start again. I couldn't help but wonder what he was thinking. Did he regret it all? Was he truly sorry? Or was this just about saving his own skin? I couldn't keep asking myself those questions without getting lost in them. I needed clarity. But I wasn't sure I'd find it, not when my heart felt like it was being ripped into a million pieces. I grabbed my phone and typed a quick text to my best friend, Claire. I needed someone to talk to. I needed someone who could give me an outside perspective, someone who would just listen without judgment. "Can we talk? I need advice." It didn't take long for her reply to come through. "Of course. I am here for you. Do you want to meet up? Or should we talk over the phone?" I thought about it for a moment before replying. "Phone is good. I'm a mess." It wasn't long before my phone buzzed with her call. I picked it up without hesitation, my voice cracking as I greeted her. "Hey," I said, forcing a smile, though I knew Claire would hear the strain in my voice. "Oh no, what's going on?" she asked, concern evident in her tone. "Are you okay?" "No," I said flatly. "I'm not. Ryan. He's been lying to me. He's been talking to other women. There's an app, and I found it. I don't know what to do, Claire. I don't know if I can forgive him." There was a long pause on the other end, and I knew she was absorbing what I had just said. Then, her voice came through softly but firmly. "Look, I'm so sorry you're going through this. But you have to think about what's best for you right now, not him. I know you love him, but you deserve someone who won't betray your trust. No one has the right to make you feel like you're not enough." "I know," I whispered, feeling the weight of her words sink into my chest. "But it's not that simple, Claire. We've been together for years. We've built something together, and now it feels like it's all falling apart. I'm not sure if I'm strong enough to walk away, even if I know I should." "I get it," she said, and I could hear her soft sigh from the other side of the line. "But listen to me. You are strong. You've always been strong, and you deserve someone who values you. This isn't your fault. You don't have to carry his mistakes. And if he really loves you, he'll prove it by taking responsibility for what he's done." I closed my eyes as her words washed over me. For the first time that evening, I felt a slight sense of relief. Claire was right. I had been so consumed with trying to save my relationship that I had forgotten what mattered most, my own peace and happiness. "I don't know if I can ever trust him again," I admitted softly. "That's the thing, though," she replied, her voice gentle. "Trust is everything. And once it's broken, it's so hard to fix. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life wondering if he's hiding something else from you? Do you want to live in that kind of fear?" The words hit me hard. Fear. That was exactly how I felt. Fear of being betrayed again. Fear of waking up every day not knowing if my partner was really who I thought he was. The relationship I had with Ryan, the one I had so confidently built, had crumbled beneath the weight of his lies. "I don't know what to do," I said quietly. "You don't have to decide right now," Claire reassured me. "Take your time. But whatever you choose, just know that it's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to walk away if that's what you need." I hung up the phone a little while later, feeling strangely light. Claire's words had helped more than I could express. For the first time in a long while, I realized that I had options. I didn't have to endure Ryan's betrayal just because I was afraid of being alone or of losing what we had. I could choose to walk away. I could choose to find my own happiness again, even if it meant saying goodbye to him. As the hours dragged on, I lay awake on the couch, my mind buzzing with thoughts. Every sound in the house made me tense up, waiting for Ryan to come downstairs, for him to try once again to explain himself or beg for my forgiveness. But the silence remained. And the more I sat with my thoughts, the more I knew I couldn't just sweep this under the rug. The trust between us was gone. And without it, everything we had built together was meaningless. I stood up and walked toward the kitchen, my footsteps heavy with the weight of what was to come. I needed to confront Ryan one last time. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I was about to do. I needed closure, and I wasn't going to get it by avoiding the conversation any longer. When I reached the stairs, I hesitated for a moment. I could still hear Ryan moving around upstairs. I swallowed hard and called out, "Ryan." His footsteps stopped, and I heard him approach the top of the stairs. He didn't speak right away, and for a moment, all we did was listen to the silence. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. "Yeah? I need to talk to you," I said, my voice steady. "I think you know what this is about." There was a long pause, but finally, he walked down the stairs, his face full of uncertainty. He looked like he wanted to say something, but I wasn't ready to listen to excuses anymore. I had made my decision. "I'm done, Ryan," I said softly, my voice trembling with the weight of my words. "I can't do this anymore. I can't keep pretending like everything is fine. I need to move on." The morning after that long night of contemplation felt like the calm after a storm, but the kind of calm that was deceptively quiet. It was the kind of stillness where you could hear your own heartbeat pounding in your chest, reminding you that life was about to change in a way you hadn't anticipated. I had made the decision the night before, but actually saying the words out loud was a different story. I wasn't sure how Ryan would react. Would he beg me to stay? Would he try to convince me that things could change? Or would he just accept it, realizing the damage was too great? I spent the next few hours pacing back and forth in the living room, waiting for him to come downstairs. Every creak of the floorboards above made my stomach tighten. I knew this was going to be the hardest conversation I'd ever have, and part of me wasn't ready to face it. But deep down, I knew there was no turning back. There was no more pretending everything was okay. This was the moment that would define everything. Finally, I heard him coming down the stairs. His footsteps were slower than usual, and as he entered the room, I could see the uncertainty in his eyes. He didn't say anything right away, just stood there, as if waiting for me to make the first move. I took a deep breath and met his gaze. For the first time in a long while, I didn't look at him with love or longing. I looked at him with resolve. I had to stay strong for myself. "I think we both know why we're here," I said, my voice steady but quiet. "Last night, I thought long and hard about everything. About what you did, about what you said, and about how we got here." Ryan shifted uncomfortably, his eyes flickering with guilt. He opened his mouth, but I held up a hand to stop him. "No, Ryan. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear how sorry you are or how you're going to change. I've heard it all before. And it doesn't matter anymore." His face fell, but I didn't falter. This was my moment, and I needed to say what I had been holding back for so long. I need to let go. I need to take control of my life again. You've broken my trust, and I can't live like this. I can't keep questioning if you're being honest with me. I can't keep wondering if you're hiding something else from me. I deserve more than that, Ryan." His shoulders slumped, and for a moment, I almost felt bad. But then I remembered all the sleepless nights, the tears, the feeling of being betrayed by the person I loved most in the world. I couldn't keep sacrificing my happiness for a relationship that was slowly eating me alive. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I never meant to hurt you." "I know you didn't mean to hurt me," I replied. "But you did. And the truth is, I can't keep pretending like everything is okay. I need to walk away." There was a long silence between us, and for the first time, it felt like there was no more pretending. No more games. No more waiting for things to magically get better. It was over. And even though it hurt more than I could have imagined, a small part of me felt a strange sense of relief. I wasn't trapped in this toxic cycle anymore. Ryan stood there, his face pale. I could see the sadness in his eyes, but there was no way I was going to let that change my mind. I had to be strong. I had to do this for myself. "I'll leave," he said finally, his voice breaking. "I'll pack my things and go." I nodded, trying to keep my composure. "Thank you for understanding." He nodded in return, and then he turned and walked out of the room, leaving me standing there, alone. The weight of the silence was overwhelming, but somehow, it was also freeing. I felt a sense of clarity I hadn't experienced in months. The knot in my chest loosened, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe. The next few hours were a blur. Ryan packed his things, and I tried my best to stay out of his way. I didn't want to make this harder than it already was, but I also didn't want to cry in front of him. He didn't deserve that. He had made his choice, and I had made mine. When he finally left, I stood at the door, watching him drive away, a sense of finality settling over me. This was it. It was over. And as much as the thought of being alone terrified me, I knew that this was the best decision I could have made for myself. I wasn't giving up on love. I was just giving up on the idea that I needed someone who didn't respect me, who didn't value me. The house felt emptier now, quieter. But it was also mine again. It was mine to fill with happiness, to fill with new memories, to fill with peace. I didn't need Ryan to complete me. I was already whole. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of emotions. I cried. I laughed. I felt a mix of guilt and relief. But above all, I felt stronger than I ever had before. I began to rediscover who I was outside of my relationship. I reconnected with old friends, started picking up hobbies I had abandoned, and even began therapy to work through the pain I had endured. Every day felt like a small victory. I was rebuilding. I was healing. And, most importantly, I was learning to love myself again.